goal kicker, Taylor Walker, with a welcome off. Here's Roselli. Roselli kicks the goal.
Handball to the excitement machine, McLeod. Left foot goal.
Oh, don't tell me.
He's a superstar.
Don't tell me. Oh! He's yet to kick an AFL goal. Oh, the velvet curtain.
Walker, oh, he's a colossus. He's kicked 5. He's been a handful. He's been the difference.
To cover himself in glory. Just coming back. And got there.
Welcome to the Proper Crows Pod, episode 7, coming at you after the big win over GWS on Saturday. We're here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you may be watching or listening at the moment. My name's Ben, and I'm joined by Dill. Dill, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Thanks for having me on after a bit of a grubby win on the weekend. So a win nonetheless, but a little bit different being here with a bit of a camera on me now. So I've got to be careful what I'm doing. But we're good. It's good to be here.
Absolutely, got to be paying attention the full time. And well, Dom, we won't be seeing any video from you today, mate, as you cruise down probably, I don't know, South Road or something at the moment. But welcome aboard. How you going?
Good, mate. Thank you for having me. And apologies to everyone if you hear some background noise. As Ben said, I'm currently driving because my weekend got thrown into a little bit of disarray, so I'm just working with what I can, really. So, yeah, I'll do my best to not be too annoying, but just keep in mind if you hear some road noises, that would be why.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're going to be running through, of course, the round 6 win against the Giants from Saturday afternoon. The SANFL team remaining undefeated against Glenelg on Friday afternoon or Friday evening. Bit of general news around the club and an early preview of our match against the Dockers, as well as much, much more. So, Dill, what were the scores on Saturday afternoon? It was a bit of a bleak affair, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, it was a bit grim. I actually wasn't at the games. The first game I missed it a little bit. But 7-10-52 to 4-10-34. So it was a bit grim. I think it was 20-8 at half time or something. So it wasn't a big scoring game, but it was good to see that we could set up well behind the football when we needed to.
Yeah, look, it wasn't a pretty game to watch, that's for sure. We were mentioning at half time, I think we had 30 inside 50s or something to about 5 and just couldn't put any score on the board, couldn't kick straight. But yeah, we pulled away at the end. So Tex kicked 2, and then Filth, Rankin, Neil Bullen, Max and Keys kicked 1 goal each. Big shout out to Max Michelini with his first goal in league footy, which was really good to see. Came at a very crucial time as well, really broke the deadlock, and he just launched from 50. It was good to see, and all the boys got around him, of course. Really, the less said about the game as a whole, the better, to be perfectly honest, because it wasn't a great watch, as we said. But ins this week were Berry, who came in as the sub, and Murray, and out was Peatling with his suspension and Scholl omitted. We touched on this a little bit on Thursday evening, Dom, but Dill, what were your thoughts on that? We sort of had the opinion that it was a bit of a surprising one to see Berry come in the side, but didn't hate it.
Oh, I didn't hate it either. I'm a pretty big fan of Bez. I think I've sort of voiced it throughout the pre-season and a little bit beforehand that I don't mind what he brings to the side, but it did surprise me a little bit. But I think they sort of went with that like for like with Peatling out, that sort of inside ball that can go forward if need be. But I would have rather to see like a Dowling play maybe, but he's not that sort of inside ball that we probably needed in a game like we had on Saturday with Green and what so not. So I didn't mind it, but I don't think he'll hold his spot. I think he'll go straight back out for Peatling.
Yeah, you'd imagine Peatling probably walks straight back into the side and probably takes that spot away from him. And maybe even Rochelle as well. There was a bit of talk mid last week that he could be right to go for this week, which is exciting. Who stood out for you, Dom, on the weekend? Who was your best, well, not necessarily your best 3, but who stood out?
Well, unfortunately, I think we got to give some roses to Riley O'Brien. He's not exactly popular on the pod, but he was brilliant. Unfortunately, kind of, handed Briggs's ass to him on a plate. And then Dawson and Rankin as well. They were stars as per usual. Dawson, I think Bedford kind of tried to go to him at the start, but it didn't really do much, I don't think. So,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree there. I think Dawson was good. We've got written down he had 27 disposals, 22 kicks at 61% disposal efficiency. So he's getting back to his best, but there's still a few occasions where he burned away from the pack and you were like, yep, here he goes, and he just kicked it to no one in particular. So I think if he can brush that disposal efficiency back up to his usual standard, then we're certainly well and truly on. But I don't know what you think, Dill, but yeah, he just every now and then just burns it a little bit when he's going forward.
Well, he had 27. He went at 52%, and he had 8 turnovers. So it's it's a bit grim. Like, he had 12 CBAs from, I think, a possible 16. So he is starting in the middle a little bit more than what we had seen him recently. But I think what sort of intrigued me was he was starting in the middle and then basically going straight to full forward 50% of the time. He was drifting forward a lot, and he still got his 27 touches. So I think the thing about him is if he goes forward or goes behind the ball, it doesn't really matter. Wherever he's going to be, he's going to have the footy in his hands. But if he can brush it up and sort of get that polished sort of play like a Bond, he's so polished when he has the ball in his hand. If he can get back to that sort of game he was at 2021, 2022, I think we've got our Dawson back. I think.
Yeah, 100%. Another bloke who we did mention a moment ago, Rankin, was just his usual elite self, really. Had 20 touches, kicked a goal, 8 clearances and 500 metres gained. Don't get much better games than that, really. He was a bit of the spark for a lot of it. Just his usual self, really. We're sort of just used to him just dominating and being elite. So I don't know what you thought about his game, watching him TV deal, but at the game he was just sort of everywhere and just popping up, just doing everything.
Yeah, I didn't see him too much. Which is why it surprised me a little bit when you boys have got him in the top 3, because obviously I'm so used to watching it in the game, so you can see everything off ball and you can see how we transition because we do stand behind the goals. So on TV it is a little bit different, so he didn't seem like he was up and about as much, so it surprised me a little bit when I saw he had 20 touches. And that second half he really stepped up and he kicked that seal, obviously. But just, I don't know, it didn't seem like he was as around the footy and as involved as he normally is, but I don't know if that's because of the style of game that it was, because it just was shit. But no, he was good in patches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he got better. He was one of those players where when it rained and got a bit sloppy in the second half, he was sort of the cream that rose to the top. So he was very good to watch. Sid Draper was subbed out halfway through the third, had a bit of a quiet game compared to his standards from the first few, but I mean, first-year player, 18-year-old kid, you're not going to bash him too much. He had 6 touches, 3 kicks, 3 handballs. Didn't do a hell of a lot, really, but he was sort of just there and wasn't doing a heap. But as I said, 18-year-old kid, you're not going to get too on top of him. He's played, 6 games now. Yeah, that is what it is. I don't know if maybe he might have a rest in a week or 2, maybe.
I think he goes back to the vest on Friday night.
Yeah,
I reckon that's basically a lock. I don't think we'll drop him. It may be in a couple of weeks he might get a bit of a rest. If he is dropped though, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't annoy me because the last couple of weeks he has been a little bit quiet. He has his stints obviously, but nothing crazy. So if he goes back to the vest and Rush comes in and Berry goes out for a Peatling, then we're basically back to our best 22. So we'll see what happens. I would almost rather him be in the vest, because when he comes on in the vest, he's playing as a mid, whereas when he starts, he's always playing forward. And I think that's why he doesn't have, especially the last couple of weeks, why he's not having the influence he had earlier, because he's not around the ball per se. He's got to work a bit harder for the touches, and as an 18-year-old playing one of the hardest roles in footy is like a pressure forward, where he's only had 2 CBAs. I'd almost prefer him be in the vest at this point, just because he gets him in the midfield more, and that's where he's going to play, hopefully. So yeah, I think the roles changed a lot as well, because obviously, especially this week, no Rush, no Peatling, probably 2 of the blokes that will play forward and will take up a little bit more of that midfield rotation and that forward rotation. So Sid is having to play that little bit more forward, and even sometimes he's pushing out into a wing that's what Rush and Peatling would do. So I think once they come back in and that forward rotation changes, that midfield rotation changes a little bit more, then you'll see him back in the middle, sort of bursting out of his stoppages like we've seen him do already in the last 6 weeks. So we'll see what happens. But if he goes back to a best, I would like that. If he gets dropped, it wouldn't bother me. But I don't know how you feel about it, Benny.
Yeah, I'm happy to back him in. Obviously, being a young kid, I'm happy to see what he can do and give him game time to develop, especially while we're still winning. If we can afford to bring him along for the ride and help him develop while we're still winning games, then, there's no real downside to it. Berry came on in the last quarter and a half and pretty much matched what he had, but he had 5 handballs instead of the 3 and 3. So he had 6 touches as well, but I didn't think he did too much either as the sub. But yeah, I'd be happy to see Sid drop back to the vest this week and just roll from there, especially if Rasha and Peatling do both come back in. It sort of makes sense, really.
Yep, 100%.
I don't want him to get dropped purely because I think he's played a shit role, and I don't think he deserves to be dropped. Because at the end of the day, they're probably asking him to play a role that he wasn't expecting to play. He's probably, he's not renowned as a bloody small forward. Like, he's got to develop that craft, and he just doesn't have it yet, which I think is fine. So I'd rather him not. Like I said earlier, I'd rather him just go back to the vest. If he gets dropped, I'll be a bit annoyed, but
I think it's good for him, though, to go into that forward 50 and play that pressure forward role. Like we saw a Caleb Sarong do it in his first year. He played through the middle and he went forward a little bit because that's what he did in his juniors, but Sid didn't do it in his juniors. So
yeah, I'm okay with him going
polished.
forward. I'm okay with him going forward a little bit, but I just don't think he should be spending a majority of his time there is my issue, and that's what he's doing at the moment.
But sort of, I think my counter to that is, would you rather him be playing or not playing at all? Because who's got to come in and play that role? Because we don't want Lockie Murphy playing it.
But that's the thing. I'd rather, if Rash is coming back in, I think having Sid as the sub is ideal scenario. Like, as much as I want him playing, we seemed more settled the first few rounds when he was the sub and he was coming on and playing predominantly midfield, because I think it's just a nice injection kind of to have towards the end of the game, because he is so quick and he's fresh. It's kind of I don't know. I think he's the perfect sub right now. While he's not playing full-time midfield, I think it's pretty perfect.
Yeah.
But again, I guess you can't ask a player to just be the sub, even though he had that interview midweek where he said he was embracing being in the vest and that he didn't mind doing it, and that he thought he brings a lot to the team when he is the sub. So that's good. But yeah, I guess you can't really ask a bloke to be the sub every week, can you?
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, but I suppose we'll see. I suppose Nixie's relationship with him and being open with him and him being receptive to whatever role that we're happy to put him in is a big part of what will happen from here. So if he's happy to keep doing it, I'm sure if Nixie sees fit that he stays there, then he probably will. Someone who we thought was being subbed out at one stage, Darcy Fogarty, got absolutely crunched in the third quarter.
Yeah.
That was a bit worrying. And then also Dan Curtin, where he got taken out of a marking contest, and it looked like he could have potentially had concussion just before half-time, but he ended up coming.
I don't know how he wasn't concussed there.
That was a big hit. He
But I don't know how he was okay after that.
Yeah, no, he looked very proppy getting up, and that you saw the conversation between the physios and him being like, no, I'm fine. The doctor's like, no, get off the field right now.
Yeah, because the umpire even stopped play as well to get him off, which you don't see very often. I think the doctor said we need to get him off now, so the umpire actually stopped play there and then as well. So you don't see that too often when it's just a bit of a knock out of a tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. Take notes, PAFC. Just watched Dill spit his drink out. That was good for all you watching on YouTube right now. That'll be a good moment. Might clip that one up. Next point I wanted to get to, Nick Murray coming back in. We thought he was going to have a good role on Jesse Hogan, but obviously Jesse Hogan was a late out on Friday afternoon, I think it was announced. Seal came in, and he's really the general of that back line, isn't he? I mean, they look so much calmer when he's back there, and you just feel a bit safer with him around there. Dill, what do you reckon?
He's a weapon. He's come on so much for the last 18 months that I think he's one of the top 6 probably fullbacks in the comp at the moment. You could probably name 5 better than him, but you couldn't name a 6. He's so good. He's elite. It's still weird seeing number 9 on his back. I don't think I'll ever get used to that. But no, he's so good. Just how composed he is, the way that he sort of puts body on the man without giving away a free kick and just intercepting as well. He's a gun. We're very blessed to have him. He could have been at the Giants because he was on the Giants Academy back in the day, but they let him go as a forward actually. So swap crafts, and to watch him do what he did on Saturday, very good. Yeah, that's a bit of nous there. Something that probably not a lot of people knew that he was actually in the Giants Academy actually as a forward. They let him go. So
crazy. Imagine a back line with him and Sam Taylor running around. That wouldn't be bad.
Bit of Christian Bassani knowledge, that.
Yeah, it's nice. I like that.
No, that was good. Bit of ball knowledge 101. That was decent there. Next person I want to touch on is Max, because we mentioned he kicked his goal and that was great to see, but he also had Toby Green sitting in his pocket all afternoon to the point where I don't think Toby actually kicked the goal.
The goat.
I don't think he kicked the goal.
Nah.
He kicked 40.
He had 13 and a point, I think.
Yeah.
He probably should have kicked that one in the third quarter where he was about 15 metres out, but we're not complaining that he missed it in the slightest bit, because it was a bit of a shank, and he never misses those ones. So Max did a great job. I mean, he did it again. We were saying in the chat last week that he was going to have Toby Green in his pocket, and there were a few naysayers and doubters around the place, but he just wrapped him up and didn't let him get anything all day. So it was great to see. I don't know your thoughts, Dom, but he was very good.
Oh, he's a genuine star. Like, we're so lucky to have him, and I think Ambrose summed it up perfectly. Thank God Jim Michaelini has that dog in him and had a kid when he was in his 40s, because, man, we've got an absolute star on our hands. And I think...
Is there another one?
There is, but he's not as good, I don't think. I read a thing where it was like when they were roughly like 14, 15, they were probably as good as each other, but as, I think his name's Jack, as he's gotten older, he's kind of, not dropped off, but he hasn't really got that much better, per se. Whereas Max, he's, every year that he's been in the AFL system, he's, taken another step. And I think he's still underappreciated because there's not much coverage by Vic Media about him. Which I think plays well into our hands, because obviously Oppo clubs are still going to do their research. They know they're going to know that he's good, but there's nothing wrong with having a player that is, genuine, like, match winner in terms of locking down Toby Green. It's pretty special. He's a very special player, and we're very lucky that we got him.
He pushed up the ground a little bit more as well on Saturday. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that at the ground, but I sort of found him standing outside the forward 50 quite often, or pushing up onto a wing. So I don't know.
I think a little bit of that might have been because Toby Green was dragging him up the ground a bit, and he probably, you don't want to say tag, but I'm pretty sure they would have said, like, make sure he's accountable at all times, like, make sure you know where he is, don't let him just run free.
I don't mind him up the ground a little bit more, because his leg is so good. When he's got ball in hand, he hits bullets. By foot, he's a leg.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'm just having a look at Jack's stats right now. You're right there, Dom. He's playing for Norwood in the reserves at the moment. He's played obviously only a couple of games this year so far, averaging 15 touches, 5 marks, 2 tackles, 7 handballs, 7 kicks. Not really sure what position he's playing. 18. So he's just turned 18 this year. Yes. So see if he makes that transition into the league side, I guess, coming up. But yeah, we'll see.
I think Chris
it depends where he's playing.
Year, like, he was never going to go in the draft. Like, best case scenario, we picked him up in the rookie draft or something. But he was never going to go like in the national draft.
Because Dan Curtin's got a brother as well, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, he's a star as well.
Is he? And is he gun? He's a gun, isn't he?
Yeah, he kicked 9 or some shit last week, I think.
Yeah, so that's another one that you got to look at as well. If you can pry them both here, then you'll be pretty confident in the ability to keep Dan, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Nah,
yeah, but we're not going to have a pick to get him because we're sending them both to St Kilda for Naz, so it doesn't matter.
Slow it.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking now. Cody Curtin playing for Claremont. He's only 17 years old. And
he's playing league?
Seniors by the look of it already. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's it looks like another handy prospect. I've
got a bit off script there, but there you go. There's a couple of names to maybe look out for. including like
No, that's it.
who's you got? Mitch Stevens as well.
Yep, Mitch Stevens coming up soon. So he's this year's draft, I believe.
Yeah,
Son
he
of
is. Yep.
Mark.
Yep. I think we've had. I think his name's Ross. Has been sending a fair bit coverage through to the pod page. So thanks for that. We've been keeping an eye on that one. So we'll probably touch on that a bit later in the season about about a few prospects. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely, indeed we will. So another point from Saturday, that was GWS's lowest score since round 17, 2022, and also the fewest points we've conceded since pre-Matthew Nicks 2019. So that's, impressive, because we set up a system to shut down a team who were averaging 100 points, I think, pretty much. So yeah, that's a big stat and very encouraging to see the defence do that against a very potent forward line. Obviously without Jesse Hogan, but they're still a very good team going forward. It'd be interesting to see, because I saw a video on Saturday night, I think, of David King or one of the statisticians talking about how 21 of the last 22 premiers have been in the top 6 for scoring and also the top 6 for defence and points against. And we were conceding, obviously, quite a bit, but if we can keep doing things like that, it sort of pushes us into that upper echelon of the teams.
But that average now is going to drop so much because we just had 34 points drop on us. Yeah, so that is now going to drop an absolute shit ton.
No, absolutely.
So we'll see what goes on.
Holding them to 4 goals is unreal as well, especially with how well they transition. Like, I think that was something we were all a little bit worried about, like that orange tsunami vibe that they always give off. Like, they're so damaging. And I think there was that.
They still did it as well.
But it was the first time under Adam Kingsley they haven't kicked a goal from back half transition or something in a game. Like, because we just, given a little bit of it was their own fault because the game was just shocking, but making that happen when, a lot of their game plan is built on back half transition and scoring was pretty huge, I think. That's probably the most pleasing thing out of it.
Like, watching Finn Callahan sort of storm out of that back 50 scares the living shit out of you, and for him to just hit nobody and see a Max and a Muzz sort of just shot it down straight away, get the ball to ground and letting Nank or Min sort of go to work and get it back in that forward 50. That's where a lot of it came from, just getting the ball to ground, and you had the Nank, you had Hinge sort of getting to ground straight away, just bombing it back in, which is where we were a little bit wasteful. Like, how many inside 50s did we have? I haven't got the stat on me, but we had, it was an absolute,
I know.
It was a mountain.
I know we had 33 to half time, and we did absolutely nothing with it. I think I worked out we were kicking a goal 9% of our entries. So basically 1 in every 10 entries we were scoring a goal.
Yeah. We had 56 in the end.
Yeah, wow. For 17 scores.
Yep.
That's a lot of wasted ball, man.
Yeah. There was the one thing that I think confused me a little bit is we sort of let Whitfield go do what he wanted to. On another day, if that game was a little bit cleaner, would that have come back and bit us on the arse? Or what do you think about that? Or do you think it's just Nick's going, fuck you, we don't have any respect for you, go crazy?
I think
it's
that's
interesting.
the answer, to be honest.
Yeah, because he had 39 touches in the end, 27 kicks, 12 handballs, 10 marks. Him
and Ash have always kind of been like that. They rack up a lot of ball, but they don't like every now and then. Obviously, they have a good game where they'll have a few score involvements and shit like that. But neither of them are particularly damaging consistently enough for it to be a worry. I don't think It probably was a point where they, back in our own backline and our own system to be able to deal with the balls coming in, and we did that. So,
yeah,
no, exactly. I'm just having a look at that average points against now. It's gone down to 82, and we're averaging 108 points scored ourselves, even with the score of 50 on the weekend. So, it's not bad, not bad at all.
Kicking a few big scores, love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much love to see it. So, any other points that you boys thought stood out from Saturday that you wanted to touch on while we're just talking about this game? Anything that stuck out? Any players, moments?
I just want to say, with Dawson's disposal efficiency, I think that was more, especially in this game, I think it was more of a tail of the tape rather than his individual performance, because that entire game was shocking. I think there was, the AFL average for turnovers at half time was 30, and both teams had over 40. It was just such a low skill game for two teams that are normally so fun to watch. Like, I'm not super worried about it. Like, I mean, obviously he's been a little bit more wasteful this year as a whole, but I think, the game as a whole was just a turnover fest. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, no, I think the big one for me was sort of Max's goal. That was good to see, and all the boys getting around him on the ground, and then even on the socials afterwards, sort of getting around him, sort of shows where the club's at the moment. So that was a big one for me. I was up out of the seat when he kicked that. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone in the stadium was very up and about. Also, shout out to the 40,000 who made it there. It was looking a bit bleak with the rain around early and Easter Saturday and all of those things going on, but we still got 40,000, so that was impressive.
Genuinely, it looked like the apocalypse at the end of that game. It was like the sky was like going a bit red. It was raining. Like it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was not the best conditions, to say the very least. We'll move on to our 3-2-1s now. Dill, who have you got for your one vote? I reckon we've all got pretty similar numbers here, or players at least.
Yeah, purely for his sort of second half involvement and sort of when we had to get going, he got going. So I've got Rankin in at the 1, even though I said I didn't notice him too much. But in that second half, I did sort of see him rise a little bit. So I've got Rankin in at the 1 vote.
Yep. Dom, how about you?
I've gone the same. I've given Ranks the 1. He was quiet in the first half, but again, he stood up in the second half. I was like half thinking about Rob, but I'll get to Rob in a minute.
Yeah, well, I'll get to Rob now. I've got him for my 1 vote. He was good. Been a big knocker of him for many years now, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. But got to give him his flowers when he plays well, and he did play well and served it up to Kieran Briggs, who's been playing relatively decently recently after his injury. So good job to Rob. He gets my 1. Dill, who you got for the 2?
Jordan Dawson in at the 2. I think the role that he played all day, all over the ground, was great. Stepped up when we need him. Sort of big captain moments a couple of times there. So I've got Jordan Dawson at the 2.
Yep, absolutely. Dom, how about you?
Well, I've got Max at the 2 because I think, he might not have stuffed out the stat sheet, but like we said earlier, he played such a good game on someone that is normally so damaging and quite intimidating to play against. And, he even kicked a goal on his head. Like, I think that was just such an all-round unreal game, and he deserves infinitely more credit from Vic Media especially. But, yeah, you got to give Max his flowers because he was unreal.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. 2 for me, I've gone with Rankin. I thought he was just that, as I said, the cream rose in the second half when it got a bit slippery, it got a bit wetter, got a bit harder to deal with the ball. So I'm giving him my 2. Dill for 3?
I've got Riley O'Brien in at the 3. I love Rob. You boys know that I love Rob. I've copped it over the. I'm about to let rip here. Fuck this. I've copped it so much for sticking up to this bloke. I've stuck up for him so many times. I've sat there and said, Rob this, Rob that, Rob this, and he finally said, fuck you to all of you. So I'm up and about. Rob 3 votes. He comes back and he fucks whoever is rocking next week, those Freo dogs. Rob 3 votes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he doesn't have an easy week coming up with Sean. Is Sean Darcy injured?
No, Sean Darcy's back. The big Shrek's back.
Yeah, but he did nothing.
So
Max Gorn literally
one.
bent him over.
Yeah, and Rob is basically Max Gorn, so it's fine. It's got to happen again. Big Shrek's fucked.
We'll have a watch on that. We might need to clip that up and circle back next week. We'll see how Rob goes this week. Dom, who you got for your 3, mate?
I've got Dawson at the 3 because I think, again, it's a bit of a theme with me. I'm a bit of a Dawes fanboy, but, he led from the front. He was around the ground everywhere. His ball use could have been a lot better, but, he had something like 600 metres gained still. Like, he's so important to the way our team plays. Like, when he plays well, we very rarely lose at the moment. So, I think Dawes, again, 3 votes, no stress.
Yeah,
620 metres gained
for me.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, Nah, he was classy. As we said, we burned the ball a bit, but he was still everywhere, taking marks around the ground, doing a bit of everything. So Dorse gets my 3 as well. We were just talking before as well. We're going to get a post up at some stage, a bit of a tally of where we're at for our 3-2-1 so far, and see who's tracking at the top. I get the feeling it's probably Jordan Dawson, but we'll have a look at that in a couple of weeks' time and get something out on the socials. Into the news, Darcy Fogarty has avoided any serious damage and has been diagnosed with a sternoclavicular sprain. I hope I said that right, Mr. Physio Dom.
You did indeed, mate. Well done.
Wait,
That's
Dom,
a very
and-
weird... Yeah, right. It's a very weird joint to injure. It's like... I just don't understand. It's so odd.
I mean, he got absolutely crunched, so like it's probably every single bone within his chest and shoulders moved around at that.
I thought he had a
time.
broken collarbone. It didn't look very good on the coverage when I was sort of poking his collarbone. He was wincing, and I thought,
That's pretty much what the joint is. It's like it's the joint between the middle of your rib cage and your collarbone. So
yeah, the more you know. There you go. So now we've got some fun facts going here. So we've got Nick Murray was actually a part of the academy, and now we've got some anatomy lessons with Dom. So the more you know.
no worries, I'm here all
Bit of
week.
ball knowledge, bit of body knowledge. We're on top here. This is what you expect from proper Crows week in, week out. So Darren Burgess has said he's a chance to play this week, but obviously need to see how he pulls up. So it sounded positive. Be interesting to see if he does get up and what we do if he doesn't, whether we just bring in another small. I don't think Freo's defence is too big, and I think Heath Chapman missed last week, so...
Yeah, he did.
Interesting to see.
James H came in, so fucking nothing crazy. I think they've got, Brennan Cox, Alec Pearce, that Walker dude.
Alex Pearce is underrated.
Alex Pearce is a gun. Alex Pearce is a weapon, but he goes to Thilthorpe anyway, so... But Brennan Cox is good as well.
Yeah.
But after they sort of lose their big two, they ain't too flash. I don't rate Freo's list, as a lot of you guys know. I think they brought the shit out of me, but it is what it is. We'll get to that after.
Yeah. Nah, I feel that. Wasn't Brendan Cox the bloke who was supposedly going to be a Crow a few years back? We were chasing him pretty heavily.
We were chasing him heavily, and we wanted him. Yeah.
So yeah, Fog maybe. Yeah, 100%. No 2 first-round picks there. So yeah, Fog a chance to play. Rash, mid last week, Nixie came out in the press conference and said he was pushing to play even for this week just gone. So you'd assume he's probably right to play this week. Obviously a big flight over to Perth, so they might give him another rest, but we'll see how we go. I think a week ahead of the initial schedule of 4 to 6 weeks that we were given when he first got injured. So that's exciting for me. The premise of him coming back into the squad early.
Yeah, it is. It is. We basically go back to full strength if he comes in.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably our biggest test of the season, really. Freo and Freo. People are saying that Freo are going to finish top 4, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. David King said the other day that they got the best list in the comp. Fucking, what is going
Freo
on?
are arse, dude. They are
What is
arse.
going on?
They are so bad.
I know this is the Crows podcast, but I just want to touch on that quickly. David King, is he for real? This is
He also came out midweek and said they're pretenders. I'm pretty not midweek, but after the game and said they're pretenders. I'm pretty sure. So as usual, he's too scared to stand on business.
He's got no idea. North Melbourne lists better than the Crows list. Now Freo lists better than the comp. Fucking the quicker that you all mute him and just sort of start saying that he's an absolute knob, get rid of his laptop, just let him go. But I'm not getting into this.
Yeah,
insane crap.
This is the same bloke. This is the same bloke who came out mid-2022 and said that Nixie wouldn't survive the Crows rebuild and that North's young, talented list is superior. So I wouldn't read too much into what he says, to be perfectly honest. But
North Melbourne.
He's an entertainment factor, at least. That's one thing. So another piece of news, obviously the Anzac Guernsey came out last week. We didn't get to touch on that because we didn't record an episode last week as we were all a bit weary-headed after a big gather.
We were a bit grim.
Yeah, a little bit. So it's basically the same Guernsey as last year's Anzac Guernsey, but the blue has basically been swapped with the yellow, right? And probably to not clash with Fremantle, who are a predominantly purple Guernsey. So it makes a bit of sense. I like it. I think it looks good, but I do like bright colours, so I don't know if that's just my bias.
You may have.
I think it's better than the
purchased
gather
one
round.
already. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, slower off the
Better
one
than
on
the
the
other
way.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you
there's a bit
disagree,
more
Dom?
happening on it.
Do you disagree, Dom?
I mean, I shouldn't disagree because it's an Anzac Guernsey, but yeah, I like stealth Guernseys. I think stealth Guernseys are cool as fuck. And as much as it was a bit of a cop-out, read the training kit, I love stealth Guernseys. Like, I think our players look so cool in, like, full dark kit. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm not here to argue over Guernseys, so let's move on.
Well, we'll move on to the SANFL, where the Crowies remained undefeated against the Bays on Good Friday, getting over the line 14-14, 98, 14-10, 94. The Bays obviously looking for a three-peat this year in the SANFL. The Crowies looking to, well, if they stay strong, they could be pushing for the finals if we can manage to get over the umpires and whoever the teams we play. Ben Madgen having a very good season. The captain of the team kicked 3 goals. Burgess and Dowling kicked 2 each. Murphy, Smith, O'Leary, Atkinson, Tahana, Welsh and Cook all kicked 1. Dill, who was the best on there on Friday afternoon in a pretty impressive win against a good team?
Oh, I think Charlie Edwards. Looks like he had 25. He had a bunch of score involvements. I caught a bit of it. I didn't see too much of it, but from what I watched, Charlie Edwards is absolutely everywhere. Billy Dowling again, 23, kicked a couple, I think. And I think another one who's probably very close to coming in if we do have someone go, like a small go down, maybe a Rory Laird if he has to have a rest, is an Oscar Ryan. So
Yeah.
watch this space, I think, over the next month, because Lairdy may get a rest at some point, I think, over near the buys. So watch this space for Charlie Edwards and Oscar Ryan, but I think Oscar Ryan might be ahead of Charlie Edwards. So we'll see what goes on.
Yeah, I fully agree. I love Charlie Edwards' game. He had 24 touches, 5 marks, 6 inside 50s off the half-back line. So he'd be pushing the door if he weren't, having a great season.
Yeah.
Were you about to say something there, Dom?
I did. I didn't get to watch much of the game. I am a box score watcher this week, unfortunately, and watched the highlights.
A few of those around.
Given I can't make a proper comment, obviously, because I didn't watch the full game. But Billy Dowling seemed to once again play a cracker, like 23 and kick 2. Wasn't named in the best, which I feel like is odd because it happened with Murph as well. That I know that we don't talk about Murph, but he had a cracker a few weeks ago in the sample and wasn't named in the best.
Quick question regarding the best. Does that come from the
week.
coaches, or does that come from outside, or does that come from an outside source?
That's a very good question. Let me just check the SANFL website because
That's
it was in the match report.
Because
I think
obviously
it's the
local
same as
footy,
the AFL, how it's different.
because local footy comes from the umpires. So I don't know if it comes from, but yeah, it's weird.
No, the umpire. It's not from the umpires. The umpires is still the McGarry, but I think it's the same as how the AFL works. How the journo that writes the article gets the votes, and then they still do separate votes for like McGarry and stuff. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah, no obvious answers from the SANFL website, but yeah, that came from the Crows website when I was writing that down on the run sheet. So I don't know whether it's an AFC thing or who may be producing those lists. But
if anyone knows that, they can drop that down in the comments just to let us know, because that does interest me when I do see it every now and then. Especially as Dom just said, like Lucky Murphy wasn't in the best, and then he got a gig next week, but he had like 26 and kicked a couple, so it's just a little bit odd to see what goes on.
Yeah, bit different. The people who were listed in the best were Ben Madgen, who I said having a great season, the captain of the team, Jay Boyle, Chris Burgess, who had 12 touches and 2 goals. He's putting together a nice season, really, but he ain't cracking into the ones, but, putting together a good season for maybe a contract elsewhere next season, we'll see. Brody Smith had 22 touches and a goal. That's probably not going to equate to much, you would hope. Blake Drury, Lockie Murphy had 19 touches, a goal and 10 tackles, which is pretty impressive. And Dowling, as we mentioned, wasn't named in the best, but had 23 and kicked 2. But,
Also, I'm just airing. I'm pretty sure his name is Jack Madgen, not
Jack
Ben
Madgen, yeah.
Am I thinking of a basketball player? I think I probably am thinking of the basketball player.
Yeah,
That's all right.
yeah, you are.
Same family.
100%, yeah.
Close enough. Sydney Kings legend, so that's all right. Next up, we're going to have a chat about proper classics. We got Freo this week, as we've mentioned. I think it's a pretty easy one. I put it in the group chat earlier, and it was a very convincing response of Texas 5-card trick in the 2012 semi-final. Other options were the 2006 qualifying final. It was a good game, and obviously set up a home prelim, which we fucked, but we won't talk about that. And the 100-point win in 2017 in the absolutely pouring rain, of which we didn't quite get that much of on Saturday, but it was an interesting night, that one.
Or round 4 2019, also from Luke Purden. That wasn't a bad suggestion either. So
I won't be putting myself through watching that game ever again, much less trying to make a highlights package of that one. That would be a very, very short video.
Yeah, no, I'm so good, bro. Please don't do that. I'm begging you.
I think that'd be maybe one highlight. I think Eddie Betts kicked a goal late in the last quarter to seal the game, and that would be probably the whole video, to be perfectly honest with you, because that was a shit game. That one. Now, of course, we'll have a look forward to Freo this week. So the Dockers, coming off a loss against Melbourne, will host us at Optus Stadium on Friday night. They looked pretty poor on Saturday afternoon, to be perfectly honest, and I don't know whether that's a travel factor or what it may be, but they weren't great.
if they're meant to be such a good fucking team, the travel factor shouldn't be in there. They're playing at the MCG against a dog shit Melbourne side. They made Melbourne look like the three-peat Lions of a three-peat Hawthorn. Like, seriously? Come on, give me a break. You cannot tell me that these guys have got the best list in the comp and they're top 4. I also had this sort of conversation about Geelong. Look what happened. So I'm not going to say much more. But Freo bore the shit out of me. I don't rate them besides their midfield. Their forward line's okay, but you shot down Treacy and you got no one else sitting around. So that's all I've got to say about the game. Crows by 8 goals. Thank you.
Pretty simple. Dom, what are your thoughts, mate?
Oh, I mean, I agree. I'm not going to go as far as Dill, because I think Freo are a good side. They're just... I don't think something's not clicking, because on paper their list is good, and I think Longmuir is a good coach. I think he's boring, and I think that'll probably be his undoing, because he's very defensive, and Freo play a very boring defensive game style. So they're not fun to watch as a neutral, and I'm honestly dreading this game, because I know that it's probably going to be a bit boring. And that's it. It's so hard to read what the result is going to be. I'm going to back us in because
Good, coward.
Freo don't look good at the moment. We do look good. There was a lot of chatter about, if we're pretenders or not after the 2 losses, but I think this week proved we are a very good football side that can defend. So I'm still backing us in. It's just, I'm not confident because Freo are hard to read, and at home I think they're a different side. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I'm just hoping that we don't get a performance was it 2021 when we played them over there, or 2023 maybe, and it was just like a war crime against everyone. Another shit game. We always seem to have crap games against them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I reckon that might have been
It's since Longmuir took over, because they're so fucking boring. They're so boring to play against, and this is why they're always snooze fest. Unless we're kicking 100, they're always boring, because they're not exactly a free-flowing team, so...
Oh, we'll kick the ball to Jordan Clark. Oh, back to Luke Ryan. Oh, back to Jordan Clark. Oh, back to Luke Ryan. Oh, we'll kick the Brayshaw.
Yeah, good for
we turned it over.
Unfortunately, but...
Well, I had to see on Jordan Clark this week, and he fucking sputtered up, so I won't talk about that. But anyway.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We're not talking about our fancy matchup this week, mate. I don't want to hear anything about
Benny,
it.
who's beating you, Benny? Who's beating you, Benny?
Mate, having a Luke Trainer 2 on field should just, rescind
anyway.
any losses. Nah, I should have had a few more points, but should be right. As it stands right now, before your trades take effect, before this Cats-Hawks game, I'm in front by 200 and just cruising along, so I'm just going to live in this world where nothing can beat me.
On the other side of it, I'm up by 400, so it's a 600-point swing.
How is that happening? What's your total at the moment?
If I click out of it, let me have a look. I think it is. It says for me 1954.
That's crazy. Yeah, you're 134 in front in that case. So, Yeah, that is what
Who
it
do you
is.
guys have
Caden-
left to play?
I've got
I've just
O'Sullivan
got Bailey
and Smith.
Smith.
Oh, okay, I've got 4 left, so I feel a bit better about only having 1,700 on the board right now.
Yeah, no, this week's been it's been a bad week for a lot of people in fantasy. I think there are a few rookies that, well, perfectly honest, didn't show up at all. Caden Cleary, Trainer was made the sub by Richmond for some reason the other night. Seen a few people with Sid on field with his 13, which wasn't great. Moraes 30. It's been a tough week for fantasy, but Dill will get the better of me in the end, barring some kind of count back miracle. We've seen it before for multi, so maybe.
Shout out
Yeah,
Matt
we're gonna
Armstrong when he
70
beat me
points off
25
Sandy
minutes
score.
after the game. I was beating Matt
crazy.
by 6 points, and my captain got a tackle taken off of him, so I lost 8 points and lost by 2,
no.
25 minutes after the game finished.
Yeah, that's tough.
Jeez, that is stiff.
Yeah, words
So
I had.
Looking forward to Freo again for this week. O'Meara copped a bit of a hamstring cork yesterday. I imagine he'll probably be fine to play. Not massive. As we mentioned earlier, Heath Chapman missed with illness, so assumingly that's just a normal sort of illness. He'll be back this week as well. But yeah, overall, I think we probably win it by a couple of goals. Interestingly enough, we're paying $2 on Sportsbet if you want to, gamble responsibly at that, because that's a bit juicy for mine, to be perfectly honest. But don't know where they've got those odds from, really. But other than that, I think, was there anything else you boys want to touch on? Anything for this week coming up?
Actually, yeah, I want to give myself a massive shout out. If anyone followed my tips from the weekend, no worries. I'm here all week. Nailed first goal scorer, winner, and margin. No worries. Didn't put any money on it myself because I'm a coward.
Yeah, I was going to say fucking coward.
Nah, absolutely. And if you want any proof of that, go back and listen to our live preview from the Strathmore on Saturday afternoon. We once again thank them very much for their hospitality in there, which was good. And yeah, Dom just reeled off the keys for the first goal, easy done, and the Crows will win by 3 goals. So just as easy as that, really. If you could just do that every game, you'd be a millionaire. But simple stuff. I was spewing because I had 50 on keys the week before in gather round, and he didn't kick it last week, and he did this week. But it's fine.
Well, every time I put money on first goal scorer, I lose, and every time someone's like, "Oh, who's kicking the first goal?" and I've rattled someone off, they win. Every time. I just can't do it myself.
Yeah. It's always the way, mate. You back yourself in for those and it never works. And when you don't back yourself in, they win. It just seems to happen every time. It's like when you change a horse tip before the race, inevitably the original horse will win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just always the way. So before we head off then, Dill, did you have anything else to add?
Not really. Hopefully a bit of a build up to Friday goes all right. I think we're paying $2, as you said, so get a few bucks on us. I think we should be pretty good value, and hopefully no injuries through the week, and we'll see what goes on because I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very similar. And if you're listening or watching now, thank you very much for joining us for our first episode on YouTube. Whether you're still listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as well, thank you very much for your support. Go and give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube now at Proper Crows Pod. You'll see Proper Classics up on TikTok and Twitter on Thursday morning, I would imagine. We'll have our either live on Thursday evening once the teams go up, or maybe even Friday morning with a better episode like this, which gives us a bit more flexibility to look at it. And of course, our review of next week, next Sunday. So hopefully we get up for the win on Friday night. Hope you've all had a lovely Easter. Have a good weekend ahead. Dill, thanks for joining.
No worries, mate. We'll talk on Thursday.
Absolutely, we will. And Dom, thank you very much for joining as well.
No worries, mate. Go the Crows. We'll see you on Thursday, mate.
Facts and slower. Go Crows. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Beautiful.
Ring the bell! Ring the bell! The bell in the city of Kansas! Stand up like Phoenix and rule like you never have before!
Jarman again, round the body,